All right, hello everybody. Today we are here with Lawrence. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Jake. Thanks you so much for having me. This is
Oh,
fantastic.
absolutely. So good to have you on. We've been working on this for a while. Today we're going to have a really good conversation. We're obviously going to talk about your before and after kind of transformation story, your experience with hair loss, all the usual stuff. But at the end of this, which I hope everyone sticks around and watches, we're going to be talking a little bit about how do you negotiate on price when you're going to a hair club, like a place that is actually servicing hair systems. Are they negotiable prices, all this kind of stuff? So it's going to be a really valuable piece of information, so everybody stick around for that. So man, I'd like to start out with what we usually start out with, which is your kind of superhero origin story of hair loss. Take us back all the way to the beginning.
So I need to start with genetically in my family, everybody, the men are definitely predisposition to male pattern baldness. I was fortunate enough that I have two brothers that basically went bald in their early 20s. I was able to hold on to my hair basically to my mid 30s when I started to notice some recession. And it started to freak me out because it's definitely a sign that I felt like I'm getting older, but I didn't feel like I was getting older. That was the thing. So, you first start with the minoxidil. You go out and buy that because you hear like that's going to work. And it probably slowed the process down somewhat. Then the next step was I started using Topic had come out at that time. I started using some Topic to cover up some recessions. And when I had a lot of hair, it actually kind of worked relatively well. After that, it had started to recede to the point where I decided to investigate in hair plugs. And I went ahead and I did that. And that seemed to last for about maybe 2 to 3 years. But it didn't stop the recession. The recession continued to get worse. So instead of having like, what I would consider long hair, relatively nicely cut hair, I decided to kind of go with like a buzz cut for the most part. And then I noticed after the buzz cut that the recession started to go on the back of the head. So then I started using even more Topic. And for anybody that's ever used Topic, I mean, it's great stuff, but God forbid it rains. God forbid you're sleeping at night or you're with your significant other or you're dating somebody and you wake up in the morning and their face has like black stuff on it or your face has black stuff on it or your pillow covers covered like in a black spot. To explain that, if you don't tell people that you use it, it is a little bit embarrassing.
It sounds like, you either have to tell them about the topic, which would be like, yeah, I have hair fibers, or no, it's just my mascara. I actually had mascara on my face. I had a guy liner, whatever it is, right? You gotta come up with some excuse, right? Yeah, no, for sure.
Exactly.
So it sounds like you've been around the park as far as quite a few products and methods of either prevention and or supplementation, let's call it. So did you also use finasteride?
I started to try to use finasteride in the beginning, but I hate to say it, it worked to some regards, but the side effects of the finasteride were worse. I hate to say it, but with sexual dysfunction, that was my main thing is why I stopped using it with
Yeah,
the finasteride.
of course. You're now sexy enough to, meet a spicy senorita and then, wow, it happens, right?
It's not a good look, my friend.
Not a good look. You look great out in the club, but in the bed,
It's
yeah,
the all show no go.
exactly. Yeah, you're a show horse, not a racehorse. Yeah. So, yeah, you've been around the park as far as a lot of the different treatments and methods. Now, I'm curious, you probably don't have an exact figure, but, you
Yeah.
said you tried hair plugs, you've tried medication, you've tried, Topic. Like, over that period of time that you were combating hair loss, how much do you think that you probably invested in your hair preservation during that period of time?
I'd have to say over $10,000
And most of that,
between.
I'm assuming, was probably the hair plug procedure.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, do you have any thoughts on that, like looking back? Because I think there's a lot of people that think of, hey, should I get a hair transplant or should I get a hair system? Hair system, upfront costs, you got to keep on spending money, but a hair transplant, you get it, maybe it's $10,000 and then you're good for life. Do you have any thoughts about that?
Well, I think the big issue with the plugs were I didn't have like a full head of hair done. I had certain parts receding on the side. And at first, it's great, the first 2 years. But I noticed that your hair continued to recede. So it was either get more plugs at that point, and it's painful. I hate to say it. The hair plugs, I mean, there's 2 weeks of like, where it just hurts to have them in. And you don't see the results instantaneously with the plugs. I mean, they go in, they fall out, and then they regrow. But for 2 or 3 years, it was fine. But the hair recession, in my case, it kept receding. So I did look into possibly getting a full restoration done. But between the surgery and also the cost benefactor, putting all that in, I just decided, it's better probably just to keep my hair very short, and just go that route until I can figure out a better alternative.
Sure. So that's brought you kind of to where you are today, which is you are wearing a hair system, correct?
Correct.
Well, I think it looks great. Not that you need my approval or anybody's approval. Shout out to the people in the comments. We're not here to pass judgment, but no, I think you look great. What's this experience been like for you?
So I think the first thing is when you actually go in to get it done, I was sweating the night before, to be honest with you. I'm like, man, I'm going to really get this done. What are people going to think once it's done? Is it going to look natural? That was my biggest thing. Will it look like it's a natural part of me? And that was the big hesitation about even starting this journey to begin with.
Yeah.
Was it going to be something that once I make the investment into doing it, am I going to like it? Obviously, I know we say, well, we don't really care what our friends think, but in the back of my mind, I'm like, what are other people going to think? And I'll be honest with you, after getting it done, all I've gotten was compliments. Either people don't know that I had it done because I always used to wear a baseball cap constantly. If I could show a ton of pictures, every picture I had was either a cap or a baseball cap. So once I stopped wearing the baseball cap, I was getting a lot of questions like, did you change your hair color? Did you get a haircut? Did you grow your hair out? Only one of my friends had said, you did something differently. And obviously I told her, what I had done, but nobody questioned the fact that it was a hair system. Nobody could even tell. That it was a hair system.
So I think that's just something that I want to repeat for the comments. A lot of times, we'll see in the comments, like, I don't know if it's their professional job, like if they don't do anything else besides just like go around looking at hair systems and saying like, oh man, everything looks unnatural because they're God's gift to, they're like the Sherlock Holmes of hair systems or something. But, a lot of times, like once we get them as people, even if they're imperfect color or too dense or too thin, it's really amazing how the eye sees what it wants to see. That's what the whole field of magic is based off of: sleight of hand and expectations of the eye, pattern recognition. And I mean, one, you're wearing a very convincing system as far as the density. It's subtle, so it looks great already, but it's not as serious as we make it out to be when we're contemplating and looking at the options and like, is it good, is it not good, what is it going to be like, what are my friends going to think? Like, I mean, would you agree with that statement?
I would definitely agree with that statement. I think the biggest hesitation, and I'm sure other people have this, is that you're probably more self-critical of yourself than anybody else is going to be. So the slightest imperfection for me that I saw, I would pick up immediately, like I could see it.
Yeah.
Where nobody else would be like, they'd be like, Lawrence, what are you talking about?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy to think about, right? Out of all of your friends, all the people in your social circle, who think that they know you, think that think that they see you, and only one person was able to say you did something different, I don't know what. And that was my similar experience as well. When I got a hair system, went from being like a Norwood 5, same as you, and not having really any hair, to having like full head of hair. And the one question I got was, so you decided to grow your hair out, huh? And I was like at that moment, the people that I saw most, literally every single day, that's what they said to me. I was just like, wow, like this is a thing. Like, people really don't actually notice. And it's a pretty incredible phenomenon.
It really is. I think the most incredible thing too is it literally, people can't really figure out where my age is at, my chronological age.
Well, I'm not going to ask.
One of the major benefits of this was you look 10 years younger than you actually are, and I was like blown away, when people said that, because it's a great thing. Nobody really wants to get old, but we're all going to get old eventually, but I think as we get older, the idea is to stay, keep ourselves in the best condition possible. So you're really aging with a lot of grace.
100%, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. That's comparatively, it's like saying, well, you're getting older, so there's no reason to work out and keep your body in good condition and optimal form, right? One, for feeling good about the way you look, but two, to make you feel better about yourself, both physically and mentally. Why should one submit, if they so desire, to hair loss and looking older? If it gives you a psychological edge, if it gives you an emotional edge for yourself, you feel better, you look better, you're more confident. Like, why wouldn't you, right?
Yeah, I think the confidence factor is the biggest thing.
Speaking to that point, have you seen much of a change as far as your confidence levels? How you go about acting inside of your day-to-day life? Has there been any changes?
Oh yeah, over the past 30 days, I'd have to say huge confidence boost. Definitely, because I've gotten so many compliments on how it looks. Like, boy, you would get not so much how the hair looks. It's like, you look good, sort of thing. That it kind of like sets you to that next level, where like, you'll look everybody in the eye, when you're speaking directly to them. You're not afraid, like if there's that pretty girl or pretty woman over in the corner, like to look directly at them and not be hesitant, or to go over and speak to them and stuff like that.
And is that something that
feel better about yourself?
Is that something that you say you were experiencing before you addressed the hair loss?
I think in the back of my mind, it messed with me a little bit. Never really had not having the confidence of doing that, but I think with the hair, because you get so much positive feedback, it just boosts you, to that next level of confidence.
Absolutely. And you're in sales yourself, so how is that? Do you feel like it's impacted you over the past 30 days inside of your profession?
It has. I mean, I'm in the fitness industry, so obviously appearances play a big role in what we do, but just going around from club to club and talking to people, and when I'm exercising, people will be like, you look different, you look great. They go, you look different, but you also look great at the same time. Like, they can't really place their finger on exactly what happened, or like they go, oh, I didn't know you had hair, because I always used to wear a baseball cap the whole time. Sure. Yeah.
That's pretty incredible. So you're 30 days into this experience now, which is pretty fresh, wet behind the ears, so to speak. What's your 30-day impression for those that are like looking at hair systems? They're like, oh man, I'm considering it. I'm still a little tenuous. 30 days into it now, you got a little bit of experience. You've got a little bit of both on the management side and on the actual how it makes you feel. What would you say to those individuals that are at the earlier point in their journey?
Well, first of all, if you haven't started with this hair system and you're you're thinking about it, definitely you want to do your research. And I've heard you say this as well, which I took under really careful thought. And I really investigated different companies that actually was going to do the process. And I watched plenty of your videos to kind of get like what you went through going through the process and how you maintained it. So going into, when I went into for the consultations, I kind of used some of your verbiage on like, well, if I do this, does it maintain it better? And then once I went in and they did the system and they put it on, a couple things I did experience, because I do want to give like some of the negative things that happened, but were easily corrected, was the first time that they bonded it to the scalp, about like 5 days later, my scalp got very itchy. Okay. So with the company that I went with, and they're great, I just called them up, made an appointment, went in about 2 days later. They put another different type of bonding on, didn't charge me to do it, fixed it, explained it, and it basically got rid of the itchiness. The other thing that I ran into during the, I'd say around the third week, is it started because, like you, I exercise quite a bit. So I'm in and out of the gym, I'm working out. You know, I might have to shower once or twice a day. Some of the bonding, when they rebonded it the second time, had started to come a little bit loose in the back. And I didn't know exactly how to correct it. That's why I think it's great having somebody with experience to originally start the process going until I personally learn how to do all this myself is extremely important if you want to not get frustrated and not drive yourself crazy. Because I could see possibly if I just maybe went out and purchased this system, tried to do my own installation, went to my barber, cut it, and stuff like that, probably last me about a week and I take it off. And say, I just can't take this.
Yeah. That to that point right there, one of the experiences I do see that happens is people try to do it the most cost efficient way, which there's nothing wrong with. But what happens is they don't have the support system. They don't have sometimes the knowledge or even just like the physical capabilities to do the things that they need to do by themselves at the beginning. Like it's like playing basketball, you know, like Michael Jordan wasn't, you know, swishing threes the first time. It took him a couple thousand times. And it's not going to take you that long with a hair system, but if you're going to do it as cheap as possible, you got to have a high tolerance for kind of like that emotional stress, as well as it not going perfect and not having all the answers. Not everybody has that. So one of the best things that you did, which I really encourage most people to do, is at that first phase, find somebody who is a partner that is going to be your support system. It's more expensive in the first year or whatever period of time, but the emotional comfort through the journey is a significant advantage over other people. Because people look at the costs like, oh yeah, it's more expensive to do it that way. Well, it's also more expensive if you try it for a week or a month and you're like, I can't handle this because I'm by myself, and you just wasted $300, $500, $600 on products and services and stuff like that. And then you're left further back than where you started. So I definitely recommend that. I think it's smart that you did that. And if anybody can do that, it's what I recommend. So along with that right there, you're a sales guy. So naturally you had to just squeeze a little extra juice out of your hair club that's helping you out. Tell us a little bit about this, like how you went about negotiating as far as costs and things that are included, getting extra stuff. Give us a little bit of knowledge on that.
Okay, so I think that's a great question. So thank you for asking. I think as you're doing your research, and I shopped Hair Club for men, and the company that I went with now, which is more of like a local company. I didn't make the purchase when I first walked in. I just said, give me all the pricing and let me know all the details that are involved. And I went to both of them, and I was trying to compare pricing and what they had to offer. Once I did that, I rescheduled another appointment to go back and speak to them, and we talked about price management. Like what are the other costs that are going to be involved? Because the first time through, I probably might have missed something. Maybe I didn't understand something correctly. But once I decided to go with the company that I went with, they gave me a price, which was $1,000 out of pocket.
Mm-hmm.
And then the piece itself was about $650, the actual piece. So you basically had to come up with that out-of-pocket expense. And then every time that you go in for like a cut-in and stuff like that, there are additional expenses. Now, being in sales, one of the things that I know is everything's negotiable to a point. So what I went ahead and did is once I chose the company I wanted to go with, I discussed with the woman, I said, listen, if I have to pay this amount of money, and I'm gonna have to pay this amount of money like each month for the system, I would at least like 3 or 4 maybe free installations. I'd also like some free product, and maybe I'd also like you to throw in 1 or 2 free haircuts as well. Now, off the bat, you might get a little bit of a pushback, but I think if you go in there and you really want to get it done and you're steadfast with what you want to do, they're going to work with you. They may not agree to all your terms, but it does no harm for you whatsoever to ask for all these little extras, because if you're going to spend that type of money, you could also save yourself close to $1,000 to $600 in just stuff that you would have to pay out of the pocket for. So I don't think you need to be a tough negotiator, but I think if you're very empathetic and you're sincere, in your presentation about like, this is what I can afford, this is how much I'd like to pay. Most, not Hair Club, but I think most local companies will definitely work with you to some extent to make you happy. Because listen, at the end, they're a business as well. They're looking to make money. They're looking to keep you happy as a client as well. They want that repeat client, because that repeat client, if that client's happy, and being in sales, I know this, you will tell at least 1 or 2 of your friends, like if they're considering doing this, to go to that company. If that company makes you unhappy, I can promise that you will tell everyone, never do business with this company again. And I think that was the major takeaway.
Yeah, for sure.
I got from all this experience.
I think that's great advice, and I don't think that's something that a lot of people consider here in America. We're used to the price is what it is. That's it, like take it or leave it. And there's this fear of rejection isn't everything, but fear that if we ask for something, we won't get it, and somehow it'll be held over our head, or they'll tell us like, get the heck out of here, right? But there really is nothing to lose. Like from the business perspective, if you own a business and someone's sitting in your chair and they're saying to you like, listen, I want to work with you, like I really do, I'm ready to sign up. Is there any way we can include this stuff right here? It's kind of expensive off of the gate, but I want you to have my business. It's way cheaper to make concessions to get them basically signed up, especially as a long-term client, than to say, no, get out of here, we don't need you. There might be some pretentious places that say, hey, we don't do that. But most people are going to say, hey, I'll take the short-term loss, or I'll make these concessions in order to have this person as a client. So, it's great advice, and we often need to hear things like that when we're going about and shopping these options, that things are negotiable, and that just because you think you can't afford it, maybe you can. You just need to, be willing to ask a couple questions and express what you want. So I appreciate that. I think that's really good advice for everybody out there. Now, we're running, this one's been going for a while. I hope people have gotten to this point. Is there any final thoughts, any concluding points that you would like to give to the people that are watching this video, whether they're more seasoned or they're thinking about starting or anywhere in between?
Yeah, I think the most important thing is to definitely do your homework with this. I didn't rush into doing it. I took my time. I followed your YouTube channel probably for 3 months before I considered even, going out on my own And then after that, I started making phone calls around to different people that actually did this. And once that was done, you actually go out and do the footwork. Look, it doesn't hurt to go out and speak to the people that are going to be installing your hair. You know, they're more than happy to speak to you about it. You know, everyone that I spoke to, every place that I went, was more than happy to, and trust me, they're more than happy to spend time with you. Nobody rushed me out of the office. They answered all the questions. They had to do it. They didn't force me to make the purchase right there. You know, they let me take the information home with me. And trust me, they will follow up with you because they want to make the sale as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So I would be doing a disservice to everybody out there if they're asking what you got on as far as the type of unit and things like that. So just really briefly before you end this, let us know what are you wearing on the top of your head? What type of base is it? What density is it? All the color and all the information you got.
Sure. So let's first talk about the density. This is a light density system. It's called a Dermaskin system, which means if I took it off right now and showed it to you, you can almost see through it. And one of the things that I like about it is it actually you can actually see my scalp through the system, which makes it even look more natural than it is. I didn't want to go and with too dense of like a hairstyle because again, one is my age. You know, I wanted to take that in consideration doing that. And I think the color matching is extremely important. The person that did the matching for me, shout out to Martha, by the way, if she's listening, did a wonderful color match. And we looked at a whole bunch of different samples. And the person that did the work has been doing it for close to about 25 years. So they had a ton of experience with doing this. And I think that also counts for something. Find somebody who's been doing it for quite a while. And if they've been doing it, they'll show you the work that they've done. They'll have plenty of photos.
Absolutely. Thank you for all those details. Thank you for coming on, being brave, sharing your story with all of us. And hopefully it encourages someone to at least consider an option to address their hair loss, whatever it is. At this channel, we're really agnostic to what choice you make. Just make a choice. So thank you once again, Lawrence, for coming on here. Everybody that watched all the way through this, remember to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification bell down below for more content. And we will see you guys soon.